In this movie, I'll show you how to switch between open images inside Photoshop. Now, you can open just about as many images as you want in the program, assuming that you have a sufficient amount of memory. In my case, I have a total of 5 images open, and you can tell that's the case by the appearance of these 5 title tabs up here at the top of the screen. So if you want to switch from one image to another, all you have to do is click on its tab like so. You can also switch between images from the keyboard by pressing Control-Tab, and that's the Control key on the PC and the Control key on the Mac. So this is a function of pressing Control-Tab on either platform. Now, there's also that shortcut that might be more familiar to you Macintosh users, which is Command-Tilde. And the tilde key, by the way, is the one in the upper left corner of an American keyboard. And notice that I moved from the last image to the first one. So Photoshop goes ahead and cycles you around. You can also press Control-Tilde here on the PC. Now, if you want to move backward through the images, then you add the Shift key. So this is a function of pressing Control-Shift-Tab here on the PC, or, once again, Control-Shift-Tab on the Mac. Now, you should know that even though you can have multiple images open inside Photoshop, you can only work on one image at a time. That said, you can view more than one image at once by going up to the Window menu, choosing Arrange, and then choosing any one of these commands right here. I'm going to go ahead and choose 2 up vertical, and that's going to move this image, the one that we were last looking at, over here to the left-hand side, and then it's going to move the last image open over to the right-hand side. And notice that this image is alone over here on the right side, which is why we're seeing just the one tab, while we have a bunch of images over here sharing the same window. And they're being kind of smushed in here, as you can see, and this final name is a little bit truncated. When that happens, or when you have too many images open to see all the tabs, then you will see this little double arrow icon. Go ahead and click and hold on it, and you will see a pop-up menu of the various images open inside this window. And so you can switch to a different image just by choosing its name, like so. You can also move the images back and forth if you like. So let's say I want to take this image right here and move it over into the right-hand window. Then I can just go ahead and drag its tab like so. Now notice if I drag it over the top of the window to this area right here, Photoshop will surround the window in blue. And that tells me that I'm going to drop this image into place. But that's not the only way to work. Let's say I go ahead and click on this image of these footballers right here, and I drag its tab over, and I drop it right at this location here, where we're not seeing any blue outlines whatsoever. Then I'll create what's known as a floating window inside of Photoshop that I can move and scale independently. So for example, I can drag the right edge of this window inward, I can drag the top of the window downward, and I can move the window around on screen. If I don't want that window to be independent anymore, then I can just go ahead and drag it to the top of a window so I see a blue outline and drop it into place. Now again, I want to stress that even though I'm seeing multiple images, only one image is active, and that image is indicated by a bright tab. So notice football.jpg is nice and bright, whereas all the other image names are dimmed, as we can see here. If I want to switch to a different image, I can either click on its tab like so, or I can click inside that image and it will light up as indicated by this tab in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. If at any point you decide you want to once again consolidate all of your images inside of a single window, then go up to the Window menu, choose Arrange, and choose Consolidate All to Tabs, and you will end up with all of the images together, with, in my case, 5 title tabs across the top of the screen. All right, now notice that our images have been shuffled around a little bit. If you decide that you want to move a tab to a different location, you can just go ahead and drag it. So let's say I want this tab to be in the second position, then I can just go ahead and drag that tab over to the left. And you have to be very careful, by the way, that you're dragging exclusively horizontally, because if you drag outward at all like so, then you'll end up with a floating window, which of course is not what I want. So I'll go ahead and put this guy back where he was, and then I'll drag that tab very carefully once again to, let's say, this second location. And that's how you switch between images, as well as manage image windows here inside Photoshop.